Look! Look, the dynamic duo!
All right, listen, welcome to the Dynamic Duo. I'm Franz.
I'm Kevin. Welcome home, everybody. It's been a while, but we're here.
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this show because I think, I'm just blown away, to be honest with you. And I know it's spoiler alert, but dude, I just watched the final episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Let me know what you think.
2 words. Simply amazing. Nothing else fits. The show itself, as we said months ago, it has a complete cinematic feel to it. They never lost it. The performances are first rate. They might as well have been in front of not that the sets or circumstances they were under didn't count, but they might as well have been on a movie set somewhere in so no plan. I don't even know how to describe it. Everything about it is simply top notch. And yes, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it for the rest of the world in America. As of this morning, the Hollywood Reporter has announced that Captain America 4 is on the way, and I double-checked, Franz. According to their report, it will indeed feature Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, and a number of cast members from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Hooray.
And on top of that, and this is the thing that really blew me away, aside from the cast, the executive producers are going to be the same people that just did the show.
Who freaking Ray?
And the writers are the same people who put together what we just saw.
Who? Whoop-de-doo, Ray. What more hooray can we have?
So, I mean, for those of us that were wondering and worrying and kind of crying that we weren't going to see any more of Falcon and Bucky together, stop it, because there's more to come.
That's just awesome. I found out something right before the show. I found out that apparently the writers for Falcon, it's the first time it's an all group of Black writers, from what I understand.
Yes. And
that is that's amazing to me, because without knowing that, this show blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. And it blew me away specifically in terms of the writing. There are so many layers to this show. There's so many different aspects to the show. The show was so daring and so complete. It took chances. It took risky chances. It pushed you off the ledge. And it did all those things as well as it could possibly be done. Yes. Let's start with the performances, because that's very important. The performances were Academy Award level. Now, and I say that in the sense that, usually an Academy Award winner, right, is the guy who's doing the dramatic role where something dramatic happens or something like that. But Academy Award performance is the actor who delivers as well as that material can be delivered. That's what I mean. I don't want to make light of any of my statements. I want them to be clear. This was as good of an acting performance as you can find.
Yes, sir.
Period. Anthony Mackie brought it. He brought it, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Sebastian Shaw brought it, my friend. He truly, truly did, subtly, in subtle ways and powerful ways. They brought it. Even the dude who played who played U.S. Agent, the other Captain America. He was an awesome actor. And so from a performance point of view, on point, flawless. From a superhero point of view, because remember, for me at least, it's important that if I'm watching a superhero show, that it be a superhero show, you know, first and foremost. And again, Falcon and the Winter Soldier delivered the superhero show. And it didn't just deliver it, as you said, it delivered it on a production value that is as good, if not greater than, most movies. It literally as good, or as, if not greater than, most movies, most big budget movies. The Avengers Endgame or Infinity Gauntlet have nothing on the Falcon. They're not better than the Falcon, period. Falcon wasn't in outer space, but that's not the Falcon's fault. But from a special effects point of view, nothing was better. What I loved about the show is now you're delivering performance, now you're delivering the superhero genre, but it didn't stop there. The writing was, the storyline was interesting. Yes. It had that buildup, that crescendo, that drama, that mythos, that relationship. It was an interesting show to watch from beginning to conclusion. Mm-hmm. Each episode stood its own, yet altogether it made one wonderful story. But it doesn't stop there. You wait, there's more. You get the Ginso knife. Not only
yes.
Not only was the writing fantastic and the story really good. I'm talking about interpersonal things, the relationship between Sam and his sister, them, you know. But not only was it good like that, but it dealt with some serious, philosophical, political, ideological, social issues. It really did. And it did so in a subtle and brilliant way that, you know, you don't even realize what you're learning while you're learning. And that last speech, two more things that I'll say before I let you go. When, and spoiler alert, but when Falcon shows up with the full Falcon outfit, dude, full Falcon outfit, and when he delivers that speech at the end, which itself, the speech itself was so layered, so daring, so powerful, so risky, dude, I'm sorry. You can't do better than that. You can't.
When we were talking earlier this afternoon, and I said to you, I would love the opportunity to ask Mr. Mackey one question. And that would be, how many takes were gone through before he finished that speech? And the other thing that I would love to ask him is, both as a person and an actor, how did the speech affect him? I would, because the way that rolled out of him, there was no hesitation.
Yeah.
He didn't stumble over it.
Yeah.
Obviously, because of the way it's cut together, you know, they had to piece it together, obviously, with the way it went, but it's perfect.
Yeah.
And it's so timeless.
Yeah.
It's timeless.
It is an absolute time. And it wasn't lost, by the way. The speech was so important. So important. It's one of those speeches that it's important in the moment, yet it's timeless at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like one of those Martin Luther King speeches. You know what I mean? It's important in the moment, but it's also a timeless speech. And it wasn't lost on me and on you or on the writers when they referenced Martin Luther King, because he said, hey, you're not quite Malcolm, you're not quite Martin. So, but in essence, that's exactly what they were saying. They were saying, this is the kind of speech for this kind of moment that can last forever. And this is exactly what you're saying, which is that speech was absolutely timeless, and it was brilliantly delivered. And yeah, and the thing about the speech, that gets to me is the fact that it wasn't flowers and, you know, everything is wonderful speech. It wasn't America number one, everything is great, we're gonna save the day speech. That it's a speech that was really, it reminded me of one of Obama's speeches, in the sense that, you know what, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna speak the truth, however you accept it. It's a risky speech, as we talked about earlier. It's a risk. It's a speech that said, let's look at things differently. And you need to understand, America and its actions can be perceived, it's not an accusation, but it can be perceived as the bad guy, as the terrorist. And the terrorist can be perceived as the freedom fighter. If we're not careful, we could easily fall under that. And dude, how crazy risky is it for a TV show to go there, especially in this climate where, you know, everything is politically correct. How risky is it to say that? We're talking about terrorism, looking at the terrorist's point of view. That's no joke. And doing it in a way that does not condemn America, and that gives America the choice of choosing the hopeful path. Forgive me for joining on, but and I'm not sure if you brought it up or I brought it up, but the symbolism of the shield was very, very important. The shield being used by a U.S. agent and smashing that guy, that's symbolic, my friend.
Yes.
It's symbolic of abuse of power, whether it's a police beating up on an innocent person, or whether it's the U.S. bombing and killing people in other parts of the world. It's symbolic of abuse of power. And so when now Sam Wilson takes that shield and gives that speech, this is what America truly represents. Listen, forgive me, man. I'm droning on too much.
First of all, there's no forgiveness to be had. And before we move on, I do want to make one more point myself. And it's part of what we talked about earlier. And that is, for anyone that takes the time to watch this show, and not just this one, but all 6 episodes, and gets to this final episode, if you've been paying attention throughout, the one thing that stands out above all of it is that the final conclusion is not coming from a politician. It's not coming from a religious leader. It's not coming from some news media person. It's coming from characters that were created in comic books. So I personally, I just want people to stop saying that within these pages, and for the work that they do when it comes down to animation, stop saying that this stuff is just for kids.
I agree.
It's not. In truth, the people that create these things, whether they be Ron Friends, George Perez, Neil Adams, or even going back to the days of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. And yes, I'm saying it again, these people were geniuses and still are in their own right, because they're telling morality tales. They're trying to explain the human condition. Stop minimalizing it and telling people comics don't count. This is garbage for children. And it's just, you know, the Archies on parade. It's more than that.
I bow to you, my friend.
Now, I'm sorry for droning on.
No, please. Are you kidding me? I bow to you, my friend, because you are speaking the truth, but you're pulling out, you know, everything I believe, man. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This is what we don't understand. from the days of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. From the days of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, there's depth to these stories. There's, as you said, it's the human experience. And we sometimes overlook that. And we think, oh, Hollywood can do it better, or they need to be reinterpreted, or blah, blah, blah. The genius of it was that, and the genius of Stan Lee was that he presented a material that a 5-year-old could enjoy, but that a 65-year-old can get pleasure out of as well. There's enough depth for the 65-year-old to pick up, yet there's enough fun for the 5-year-old to enjoy. And both of them, and that's exactly what this show did. That's what it did. The thing that makes me most excited about the show is that it didn't do it at the sacrifice of another aspect. In other words, as complex as it was, as deep as it was a superhero show. He put on the costume, bro. He put on the costume.
It was completely entertaining.
Oh my God.
And it had so many twists and turns in it, you can't even keep it straight. As I said to you before, I've watched it 3 times since yesterday. I'm probably going to watch it again because I still think I missed something. Yeah. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I still keep thinking, what did I miss?
Yeah.
What didn't I see?
Yeah. 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 I mean, yeah, the moments that stand out to me are both big and small. Moments that stand out to me. And I wish, it's too bad that this show is not yet some sort of YouTube phenomenon. I would love for the writers and the producers of this show to just hear this, because I think they would appreciate it, because it's recognition of the work that they put in. You know what I mean? The moment that stand out to me are the small moments. The moment where, for example, a Falcon takes his sister to the bank and they have that conversation. The moment that really moved me was the moment where he's just walking down the street with Sebastian down the street in Baltimore. That was powerful. The moment where he's talking to Isaiah and Isaiah is saying, you don't understand, bro.
Right.
That's powerful. And in light of what we're talking about, the moments that have also blown me away is when he puts on the costume. When he opened up the suitcase at the end of episode 5, I thought to myself, man, wouldn't it be great if they put him in a costume? Like, wouldn't it be cool if they're never gonna do that. They wouldn't do that. Nah, I'm hoping too much. And they put him in the costume. I mean, albeit it's the modern costume, it's the Captain America. But dude, it's right from the pages of the comic book.
The color scheme is even perfect. After we talked this afternoon, I went and got one of my issues of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I looked at it. The color scheme is even perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. They went there. The fact that they gave him the mask, and the Falcon mask is a unique one. The fact that they they gave it to him. They gave him the half thing, which is reminiscent of the original Falcon and absolutely true to the modern Falcon. Listen, how can I applaud the producers and the writers of this show, and the actors and the directors and the cinematographers and the special effects people? How can I applaud them more than what we did? One thing I'll say, it's an interesting thing. I wanted to say this with respect to what you said about the complexity of comic books. Believe it or not, and I don't know if you've read the story or not, because it's not a well-known story, but way back in the 70s, there's a Captain America storyline that is as deep and as complex, where at the end of it, Captain America comes out and he makes a speech too. And it was very similar, questioning the values and the actions of America as a country and as a government. Mm-hmm. It is the storyline where Captain America gives up the shield to become the Nomad.
He quits.
He quits.
You know. I remember that storyline.
I shouldn't doubt you, man. I should know you know. He quits. He quits. He says, no, I cannot live up to these ideals. I'm going to give up Captain America and I'm going to become Nomad, because he discovered that within the government itself, the president was like, oh my God, I can't look up to you. I can't respect you. Dude, that's so I say this to say I recognize, the value of the original material. Go back and reread it, but at the same time, understand what this show is about and how brilliant it is for delivering that.
I couldn't agree with you more. And there is one more little thing that I have to mention, and I have to. They did something that was absolutely brilliant that I didn't catch until my last viewing. And that was during the confrontational period, and I'm not going to give anything away for anybody who hasn't seen it completely. During the final fight, the final battle, the fact is we've seen at least a portion of that before. And I'm not talking about through the pages of the comics. It was a brilliant bookend because they basically took a lot of what was in the original Winter Soldier movie and they condensed it into the closing scenes of what this was. I can't go into detail because I don't want to say anything that would be a spoiler to anybody.
But I think the show's been a spoiler show. I mean, go for it. Listen, spoiler alert.
Okay. The thing is, when Sam and Kari are taking one another on at the end, and he won't fight her, it's the same thing they did between Steve and Bucky and Winter Soldier.
Interesting.
Exactly. He was begging Steve to hit him. And he wouldn't.
Fascinating. Brilliant.
He would not do it. On top of everything else, although nobody comes up to take Steve down, and Bucky, beats him and hits him to the point where he falls. Because again, even though Buck, when no one else takes Cap out, Kari is actually brought down by Sharon, not Falcon.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. And here's the symbolism in that. And by the way, brilliant catch on your part, because you're absolutely right. That's a great observation that I would have missed completely. The symbolism of that is, with great power comes great responsibility.
My brother, you said it.
With great power comes great responsibility. You're the United States. You have great power. Be careful how you use that power. And because the juxtaposition was Falcon America fighting a terrorist. She is and was labeled a terrorist. And yet he's choosing, even though he has the ability to take her down, saying, no, I don't want to do that. Yes. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I've got the power, but this is not the approach that I want to take, because you have a point of view that needs to be heard. What people sometimes, they might say, well, that's weak. Oh, that makes you weak, or the terrorists are going to have their way. No, that's not true at all. Falcon was in control. He wasn't about to lose or sacrifice anyone. He was still a superhero, but it's using that power with sensibility, with compassion, with understanding. With great power comes great responsibility. And that's the difference between, this show is brilliant. It is the difference between U.S. Agent, Captain America, Walker's Captain America, and Sam Wilson's Captain America. Walker's Captain America was a guy who was doing his job. The show didn't take a shortcut. It didn't make him just a bad guy. he had a legitimate, depending on your point of view, reason to kill that guy, because the guy just killed his partner. He had legitimate reason to be upset, but be careful how you use your power, because very quickly you can go from the defender to the oppressor. It's no joke. That's what the show is dealing with. And so when he does that and he chops the guy in half with his shield, the shield representing the symbolism of America, and he's chopping that guy down, and that's not the way to do it. And then you contrast that to Falcon, who says, no, I'm not gonna fight you. Dude, I mean, come on. Come on.
It's just perfect.
Come on. It doesn't get better. It doesn't get better than that. I'm sorry. It doesn't get better than that. I can't imagine that it gets better than that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You know, and for any and all of the executives at Marvel and at Disney for even agreeing to do this in the first place, I personally applaud them. The only thing they have to worry about, although everything else is different, is Loki, What If, and anything else that they decide to do, She-Hulk, or anything else that's coming. I'm not doing a comparative thing, but in a weird way, they've got to live up to what they just did. Okay? You can kind of push WandaVision aside and say, okay, that was attempt number 1.
Yeah.
We got it right with part 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It depends upon what they do with the rest of it.
I agree.
They've got a lot to live up to.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I don't think you can live up to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't think you have to. And what I mean by that is you don't have to address social issues. You don't have to address in a superhero show. I wouldn't fault you if you didn't, but you better deliver the same entertainment value, the same quality, the same depth, the same interest thing. You better deliver. And again, you better not lose the superhero-ness of it. Like, you know, you better not lose that. There was no superhero-ness in my view in WandaVision. Vision looked like Vision in a couple of scenes, but there was no superhero-ness in that TV show. You know, so you got to deliver. Is She-Hulk going to be live action?
Yes.
So She-Hulk could be very interesting and very good and very powerful. There are a lot of feminism issues that could be addressed in She-Hulk in the same depth and level that Falcon addressed some of the racial issues and inequality issues. So She-Hulk could be interesting. She-Hulk has always been a difficult character to do, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
And even in the comic books, she's a tough character. Not every character can have their own series, and She-Hulk is one of those characters.
I applaud them for even willing to do Moon Knight, because Moon Knight's going to be difficult for them. I don't care what you say. Moon Knight's going to be hard.
I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%. But having said that, Sam Wilson was also a tough character to handle. Mm-hmm. He was never some guy who could carry his own series. He had mini series here and there. But dude, they handled it just fantastic, bro. They handled it fantastic. They handled it fantastically. I had a total geekgasm, I'm telling you. And I think you said it. With that first entrance and he throws the shield. By the way, here's one thing that I want to say. I am now, and this is going to be important. This is very important. This is a very important topic. I'm glad I remembered it. You and I have talked about this before, and we've been against changing superheroes for the sake of what's the word I'm looking for? Political, inclusivity. I mean, obviously inclusivity is important to us, but we don't want to sacrifice Thor. We don't want to sacrifice Superman or Spider-Man because we love those characters. Give me an ethnic or Black or Asian superhero. I'm more than welcome for that. But don't change my character because you're killing off my character. And Marvel's been doing a lot of that, specifically in the comic books, changing almost all their major characters into some sort of other person. And I'm against that. I don't like it, and so on and so forth. And one of these days, we're going to talk about the whole Michael B. Jordan as Superman situation. But having said that, this transition from Falcon to Captain America, from Steve Rogers to Sam Wilson, Captain America, was handled so brilliantly that I am now a full-on Captain America fan, and I'm talking about the Sam Wilson version, Captain America.
Yeah,
I'm full on.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
This looks like a job for Superman.
Hey, look! It's Spider-Man!
The dynamic duo return next week. Don't miss it.